Hey everybody, hope you're doing well out there. This is Dustin, and I really want to talk to you tonight about sleeping gods. I've been wanting to talk to you about this for quite a while. I've had this game for a while. I've had it for, I guess it's been about 2 months now, so I've had plenty of time to play it. I just finished up my first campaign all the way through just a couple hours ago, and I've really been wanting to do my own personal review of this game, but it took me a while to get through the whole first campaign. So I wanted to get at that fair look at the entire experience all the way through. I knew there's different endings, so I wanted to see which ending I got so I could give it a fair assessment after a first full campaign. My initial impressions are incredibly high and positive, but I want to talk to you about, did it maintain, did it increase, or what happened? How do I feel about the game now? And I'm glad that I'm doing it now, because I did try this a review after just a handful of plays, and they're obviously very different experiences. So anyways, in this review, I'm not going to tell you really much how the game plays. There's been a lot of reviews out there. Daniel Davis comes to mind at the Dungeon Dive. He did an amazing job of providing a summary of what this game is and how it plays, and then of course his own personal thoughts on it, which were overwhelmingly positive, as are mine. But I want to give my own perspective of how I feel about this game, just because it's fun to talk about games, as we've talked about before. Before I get into it, I want to tell you a very quick story. This game will always be meaningful to me in kind of a serendipitous way. So I went to the game store a couple months ago and had some money burning a hole in my pocket. I really wanted to find something exciting, and I went up and down the aisles, and as usual, looked at just about every single game, just in case I had overlooked something, and I just wasn't seeing anything. And I turned down the last aisle. There's a little cart with some games stacked on it that clearly weren't yet on display. They're just kind of pushed off into a corner, and I saw this. It was upside down, just like that, and there were like 6 of them on top of each other. And I instantly recognized, I was like, oh, is that Sleeping Gods? I recognized the turquoise colors and the boat, and then I flipped it like that, and that beautiful gold script was sitting there, Sleeping Gods, and I said, holy shit, because I didn't even know the game necessarily had fulfilled. Obviously, I'm aware of the game via Kickstarter and a lot of the preview videos that have come out over the last year or so. But I did not know it was out, let alone sitting there in a retail store. So there's no price on it. I asked the attendant, is this for sale? And they said, I think so. And so sure enough, I was able to get it. I was so impressed that night when I checked it out for the first time. I immediately went back the next day to buy the expansion, because I was kind of wavering. I didn't know if I really need to put in another $50. I'm glad I did, because this is one of those games that you want in your collection. It's just a quality game. It is a piece of art in a lot of ways. This is, even if I'm done with this game someday, I'll always want it, just because it looks amazing. Every piece about it. Why this game is meaningful too, and this is just a little side note, is because my first true time playing this game was, I forget the date for sure, it was either February 2nd or February 4th, the night of the Super Bowl of this year. And I'm from Kansas City. I'm a diehard Chiefs fan, and Chiefs got their asses kicked by the Bucks. So I came home and I had already had everything laid out. I had learned the game, I think earlier that day or the night before. So I came home at 12 that night. I was like, you know what? I was like, let's get away from that miserable loss, and let's dig into this game and see what it's all about. And I was instantly cheered up. I went to bed that night, not feeling as disappointed as I thought I'd be. So, you know, I played this game I was only planning on playing it for an hour or two, right? Because Sunday night, Super Bowl Sunday, for some reason we don't have Mondays off, national holiday. But I ended up playing this till I think 3:30 in the morning because I was having so much fun. It was so exciting to just discover what the game was all about. The onboarding of the game is amazing. The quick play guide, quick start guide is really well done. For the most part, I had a little confusion here and there, got it sorted out, but comparatively to most games, getting this to the table, learning a rather complicated game with a lot of moving parts, was pretty smooth sailing, if I may. And so it was just a very positive experience. That 3 hours I invested in this game. I started obviously in the starting area, which is I think the Sakura trading post. Yep, if I'm not mistaken, and kind of explored these 2 pages here and got some quests here at this trading post. Sent me across the map to, explore this little village, the temple, all sorts of stuff, a random boat out here, her ship, and my imagination ran wild, as it has everybody else who's played this game. So just discovering not only these locations, that sort of exploration, which is obvious, but the exploring you're doing as a player of the mechanics of how this game comes together is very exciting. You have all these, obviously, decks of cards. You have this awesome treasure chest of quest cards and adventure cards, and this is just a very high quality component. It's awesome to have. But just discovering how the quests work, what's the difference between a quest and an adventure card, what kind of upgrades am I going to earn, what are these recipes for, how's that going to help me, how am I going to control 9 different characters. So the sense of discovery of how the game all comes together probably might have been one of my favorite parts about the entire experience. All right, so I want to come back to that sense of discovering things and that sense of excitement. So don't let me forget about that. But before I get to that, I want to say another positive real quick. Another very obvious positive of this game is just, like I said, the creativity, the art by Ryan Blockett, every single card and upgrade, all the 100 or so monsters, unique artwork. I am not an artist by any stretch. I cannot imagine the time, of course, that went into it, but the creativity of all the different types of recipes you have here. And look at those flapjacks. They look delicious. And a bunch of different characters, have a unique look to them. I can go on and on about the artwork. It's absolutely gorgeous. And beyond that, I believe it's Ryan's wife. I think her name's Marjorie. I should have looked before I brought her name up. But anyways, I believe she's the writer of this story. And I'm a copywriter by trade, so I do appreciate really good writing. And for me, it's not necessarily like how profound that was or how descriptive and colorful that was. Well, I obviously appreciate that as well, but I really love condensed writing and writing that gets straight to the point for the most part, but still being descriptive. The writing in this game is incredibly descriptive, and with each of the hundreds and hundreds of locations and snippets of text, they all feel different in a lot of ways. There's so many different fictional creative ideas. Every single snippet is a new event or something that happens. A ton of brainstorming went into this just to think of all the different things that might happen to your crew, since this is such a big world. So overall, what I'm saying about the giant positive of this game is the art, the creativity, the writing, all that came together in this amazing final package that I am so happy to own and be part of my collection. I'm gonna shut my door because my animals just opened. Get out of here. All right. Okay, so I want to come back. Thank you for reminding me about the discovery of this game. Okay, so this is really, I think this is the, this is going to be pretty much the majority of, I think, this video, and the emotion that's strongest with me after finishing the game. Okay, and this is unscripted, so here we go. Discovery, exploration, adventure is all in here. Obviously, that's what this game is all about. Moving your ship around to all these different locations that you've seen in many videos and pictures of this game, if you haven't played it yet. If you have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That is obviously the core mechanic of the game for the most part, outside of combat and things like that. That is really, really, really fun, especially at first, when you are, again, discovering how the game works, discovering its mechanics. You'll come across a snippet of text. Perform a cunning 7 test, or a strength 6 test, or combat or something. You'll get options and you'll see different arrangements of that. Sometimes it'll force you to take a perception 8 test, or take damage. So you start to see the arrangement of those challenges. Once you have discovered that mechanic, from there it doesn't change much. So this is where my review is going to start to teeter into a little critique mode. And I want to preface this with saying I really do adore this game in a lot of ways. But for me, when you start to, there's always going to be places to discover on the map, and more text to read, and new situations you're going to uncover. So just continuing to discover the world that the Lockets have put into this remains fun for the most part, but always interesting. You're always excited to see what happens next. But when it comes to discovering what else the game has to offer from a gameplay perspective, that's where it starts to feel a little redundant at times. So I started to feel that, I'll be honest with you. You go through I'm not sure if it's a spoiler or not, but you go through your event deck so many times, right? And then that's kind of the end of the game. So there is a timer that you're not entirely sure that from your first playthrough, if you haven't looked anything up, you're not entirely sure what happens when you get to the end of the event deck for X amount of times. And then, it does serve as a timer. So, when that occurs, you've kind of seen a lot of what, the game has to offer, again, like I said. So I just noticed as that hourglass was starting to drain away, I was kind of excited to get to the end. I would have probably, I don't know how long, for you guys who have completed the campaign, I'm not sure how long it took you to get through it. It felt like it took me quite a while, and I think a few hours shaved off would have provided just a little bit of a snappier experience. It started to drag just a little bit. For example, this is the perfect example I can think of. Probably one of my biggest critiques of the game for me, and I hope I did everything right here. But and again, I play this solo, so it's probably has different. There's a different feel with a group, obviously, but your rewards for many of the locations are more cards, more upgrades and totems. So I don't think that's a spoiler, but you'll start to earn these totems, which are kind of your goal of the game, is get as many totems as you can, and the totems offer you a special ability to use your command tokens on them. So as your number of upgrades and cards grow, and you even get crew like a donkey, that's, I guess, on the ship with you. First of all, it's really awesome and exciting to start to see your collection grow of stuff you found, little trinkets you found throughout your adventure. And obviously they do help you. So that is really cool. I have several kind of crew members, I guess. Even they're not really labeled crew members, and they kind of serve the same purpose as a fishing rod or a serpent scale vest. There's not a lot of difference between a crew member and a piece of gear. In fact, they're very similar. It would have been cool if like your crew members served a little bit like people you picked up, these two kind of ghostly characters, and then an imp. I'm not going to spoil anything else, show you guys anything to the camera, but you do get crew members like the donkey too. It would have been interesting if you would have had to kind of take care of them too. You had to make a decision. Do I want to keep them around? Do I want to keep them fed? Do I need to let them go to fend for themselves because I can't afford to feed this outside of your 9 crew already? But anyways, and I say that somewhat tongue-in-cheek. I'm not, that would have to be developed further, because I know certain games like Seventh Continent, the feeding part of it, and then I know that's a little bit of an issue with the Awakened Realms game, the King Arthur one. I don't know why. Tainted Grail. I know feeding your party is a little redundant. However, the issue that I'm trying to explain is you start to gain this gigantic collection of cards, and the returns you get from that, the excitement begins to diminish a little bit. You start, at least as a solo experience, I started to feel like, man, it's getting a little more almost annoying adding another card, because it's just another thing I have to track, like during combat or something. I have 40 cards probably here that I can use in various ways. So my point about decision making, do I want to keep some of these cards around? Do I have to kind of cull my deck a little bit here? I guess there could be, or maybe there is, and I just missed it, a max kind of hand limit or something, just to make it a little more exciting. If you only, for whatever reason, only had 6 cards during the game, and you do obviously at some point, but when you get a 7th, that's more exciting than when I'm sitting here with a 30 and I get a 31st card. I'm like, cool. So again, as you begin to discover the mechanics of this game, and you begin to discover kind of the only rewards outside of the rewards of just awesome additional content, and that is a reward in itself, obviously, but the tangible rewards you get, these upgrades, they really they don't do anything, I would say, that particularly surprising. Once you start to see them, a handful of them, you realize, okay, at pretty much every one of them you use a command token, and it's going to give you a bonus to one of your skills, or maybe let you cook something, or defend, or add some damage in combat. Now, what else these cards could have done, I'm not sure, but perhaps just another layer of depth and decision making of this array of cards I have, instead of just every time I earn one, add it. Some sort of system to where I had to make decisions on, which to keep or which were worth it. Things like that would have I think kept the excitement level for discovering new cards a little bit high. I'll say the same with combat. Combat, again, I really enjoyed pretty much throughout the game. It was more exciting towards the beginning, and even up to halfway through, 2/3 of the way through. But the very first, and these guys are in the quick start guide, so no spoilers. But the Mythian guard or Slayer's guards. It's cool. It's a puzzle. As you guys know by now, the combat in this game is very much a puzzle. You have each of your crew members who are meat shields in many ways, but they are also attackers, and some are better fighters than others. It's really cool discovering new weapons and equipping them. They all have the ability to earn a new weapon. That's really cool too. And the combat plays out like very much a puzzle. You have to make kind of probability decisions in your mind and think about how you can spend some of these synergy tokens. Okay, if I use Laurent here and am able to put a damage on this heart here with this little diamond, then I can give this synergy token down to Mac, and Mac has a very high chance of hitting her target, so then I can spend Laurent's synergy token to do an extra damage. That's a very fun puzzle to figure out. However, once you do figure it out, it starts to lose, again, the sense of discovery. It feels like most of the monsters kind of behave similarly because there's no moving around a board or anything. So AI, it's not really a thing in the game. Monster AI, and that's just because it is a puzzle, so you can figure it out. The only luck involved is, of course, with the Fate deck. A little bit like Gloomhaven, where you're drawing a card. All it is serving as a dice roll for the most part. Now there's higher chances to get some of the middle numbers, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong with that. But yeah, because I think there's less ones than any other card. So you can factor in that probability too. But otherwise, it's a puzzle you can figure out. Once you figure out the kind of the combo that I just mentioned, certain combos are usually usable in most situations. Unless somebody goes down, then you got to switch it up. So that does change up combat depending on who goes down. However, again, and I really do like the combat in this game. I think it's quite fun in a lot of ways. But again, back to the puzzle, and this is one thing I don't like about the game. Flat out, and it's just me, I don't know if anybody agrees with me. I don't like the combat a lot, but I do not like that, how I understand the rule, as long as I'm interpreting correctly, which I'm 99.9% sure I am, based on online discussions I've had, is when the monster attacks you, or even when a random event happens to your party, you choose who takes it. I just cannot fundamentally get behind that. Just when I got into RPGs, back when I was a kid, Dragon Warrior, but really Final Fantasy 1 was where my love for gaming really began. And that game has been built upon, almost every RPG since. And of course, that's borrowed from Dungeons and Dragons. But I can't think of any game, I know this is an adventure game, I can't think of any game where you as a player get to say, that dragon that is hitting me, I think it's Laurent that gets hit by that. It just loses a little bit of that. I don't know, you just get those little jolts of excitement throughout all these games. You have a little instance of, oh crap, the dragon's attacking, or whatever it is. One of the Mythian guards attacking. It flashes. Who's it going to be? And, oh, shoot, it wasn't the black mage. Thank God it was the knight. That's missing from this game. There's not the excitement when, oh boy, here's the Mythian guard's turn. Who's he going to attack? Let's sit back here and figure it out. Not for me. Not for me. So I did a little home variant. Basically, in most situations when that would occur, you have a D10, you have 9 characters, roll my D10, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Kasumi got hit by the Mythan Guard. And that just made it more fun for me. I let the game decide who the monster that attacked which character. I'm not sure why that decision was made when I think about what's going on under the hood of this. I'm not. I know that's another part of the puzzle. Who do I want? Okay, the monster has to give somebody weakened. Well, I know Raphael's not going to attack, or do a challenge, so I'm gonna give him weakened. So there is thinking that's very much a part of the puzzle, is predicting not only how you're going to attack, but also when you're attacked, figuring out who needs to take the damage, who needs to take the status effect, because that you're going to kind of, you're not worried about them. They are your meat shields or whatever. So again, that's my biggest pet peeve, I guess, or critique of the combat in this game. But for me, this really did make it a lot more fun because I wasn't able to control who the monster was going to attack. In certain rare instances where I completely bombed a roll, I was gonna scream. I was like, okay, well, I'll just revert back to the original rules for this particular attack, so I can at least see the next part of the game. So that's my main critique about this game, and it's fresh on my mind because, and I'm in the critique here. All games, have their excitement level throughout the duration of your play through the game, and some games increase as you get through further and further in the game. Some games start to, cat's crying at me. Some games start to decline ever so slightly in their excitement. Yes, like I said, some end on a super high note, and you're left there wanting more. For me, this is one of those games that when I first played this for the first 10 hours or so, especially towards the beginning, I was like, this might be the best game I have ever played in my life. And I even said that to some of my friends because I was so sure. I'm not saying it's not. This is still one of the best games I've ever played. But at that point, I thought it was a home run, slam dunk, best game I've ever played. I can confidently say that. When I ended it, I'm like, definitely in my top 10. Absolutely. Possibly top 5. I'd have to go through the list. But I will say that my excitement level for Sleeping Gods was 100, and it did dip a little downward towards, let's say, call it 10, down probably to 8. Just because the mechanics of the game, again, start to feel, to me, just a little bit redundant. You don't discover new ways of the ship moving necessarily. You don't discover new ways that combat is going to change and evolve. You don't discover new takes on challenges and stuff. And that's to be expected because it's just, there is a very, tight framework of this game, which all the mechanics live within. So I can see why certain decisions were made, and why this game is puzzly and pretty mechanical. Even like moving your little worker around, as much as I think that is a fun deal, the decision making, to me, it's not, the actions are a little bit similar. There's a lot of shared benefits, like every one of the spaces except for one lets you draw a fate card. 2 of the spaces lets you get back or lets you recall command tokens from your cards because they have to remain there when you use them. but 2 of your 6 ship actions do that. So it would have been cool if that changed during the game. I know that you do upgrade your ship potentially, and once you earn some certain rewards as you complete the game. But anyways, for me, the game's mechanics didn't evolve like the amazing story and world building continues to do. You can, so I've made my point about the mechanics, but going back to the positives, going back to what is truly special about this game, the mechanics work very well. Good. I say good enough, but I don't mean it in like a negative context at all. The mechanics work to provide you a channel from which to discover the world. This could easily be a choose your own adventure book without any of these great mechanics, and it probably would have done amazing, and it would have been a great piece of art in itself. But the Lockets created this game, these really great mechanics to let you participate in the decision making and participate in the combat instead of reading about the combat in a choose your own adventure book. So that's really what this game is to me. It's a kind of a choose your own adventure book, but expanded with all these really great mechanics to let you participate in this world, So I mentioned my issues with some of the mechanics in the game, but that never got in the way of me enjoying, again, the world. Does it make it an amazing game that like I'm so thrilled with, the next time I do play through? Oh, I can't wait to spend another 5 hours, in playing combat or discovering new pieces of gear. When I play it again, I'm not going to be necessarily excited for that because I think I could honestly probably predict what some of the cards are. Now I don't know, the theme of the card or whatnot, but I imagine. So I have a fishing rod that allows me to catch a piece of meat. I imagine there's probably something that allows me to find some vegetables, like a shovel. I almost bet on it. Who knows? But you can see. I'm sure there's a card associated with every skill and sort of stat boost and stuff that you'll soon discover. So finding those, I'm not all that excited. We'll see if I do one day. If nothing else, I'm gonna flip through them someday if I never get around to seeing everything and see all the amazing artwork. And I've only hit probably a third of the monsters. I've only discovered, a quarter of the map, I'm guessing. A third, maybe. I saw a lot, but I know how much is left. And I do want to say that sense of discovery right there, where you're given these sheets of paper with the map displayed, and it's up to you to write your own notes and take good notes. And I realized that I wasn't taking good enough notes because I started realizing, hadn't I been there before? I'm like, oh yeah. So that is a part of the game. That's part of your success, is doing good bookkeeping of where you've been, what have you found, the keywords, what clues have you gotten that might be hinting at somewhere else, maybe on a different part of the world. That was definitely one of my favorite parts of the game as well, is you had to use your own sense of adventure and sense of organization, which I'm not that great at. So that was something I really had to think about. Like, oh yeah, I need to pay particular attention to that so I can efficiently discover the map as much as possible, as I know that the event deck is, my timer is running out. So I think that's just about all I wanted to say. Again, I know I spent probably 10 minutes of my little critiques, but that was really, all that critique is one segment of the game, and it's just one little thing and a great universe of positivities, and the feeling this game gives, again, the sense of wonder, the art, the high production quality, the high quality of, again, the art. Nothing feels like it was, quickly done by any means, just to knock out another card. Every single card feels like a piece of art. Every description is creative and in itself is a piece of art, and just creativity is exploding out of this box right here. So I'm very impressed by the work. I can't imagine how much time went into this game, and all the effort and talent for sure. So many different ways. So I'm blown away by all that. The mechanics are great too, if not with little issues I explained. Try the D10 variant. If you roll, here's a second variant. If you roll a 0, that means the monster missed. Now that is optional. I removed that, but that is an option because you have 9 characters and you have a D10. If you roll a 10, that's up for you to decide. But I do think that having the monsters randomly attack, or the negative effects of an event randomly hit a character, is a little more. It adds to the excitement for me. Maybe call it what it is, a little Ameritrash added into this largely Euro game, but that's just one. That's one great thing about games is it's your game, and you can manipulate things to add to the excitement factor, and the enjoyment you get out of it. So, anyways, the enjoyment I got out of this game, it's a memorable experience. Absolutely, I'll never forget the night where I really dug into this when I was a little down, and it instantly raised my spirits. And it really is a masterpiece in a lot of ways. So everything you've heard about this game is true. It's accurate, and hopefully I shed a little different angle on it tonight. So thanks for listening. We'll talk to you soon.